we talked about before, when you asked me, that's where I came up with the dragon, when you said to me that, you know, like, okay, what are some hard evidence or hard things that happened to you in your life that, you know, you could give us an example of facing your demons? And the reason I went into my dragon, because there was so much material that I really couldn't think of anything. You caught me in something like, oh, what is this time or this time or this time? You know, and that's where I kind of brought it into the idea of, you know, the idea of what the dragon represents. You know, because just each person has to face their own demon. And, you know, when you talk about examples of that, as before you were saying.
Yeah, well, I was just saying that when you think back about dealing with some demon or some problem, it's a matter of perspective. Like, if you're dealing with it now, it's a problem, but if you look back, it's an opportunity. It was an opportunity for change and an opportunity for a lesson. It's not necessarily a demon anymore because you learned from it and you grew from it. So I think, like, when I look at all these things that I'm maybe dealing with right now as problems, you know, in a year or two, hopefully I'll have learned something from them and moved on. They won't be problems anymore. They won't be something I had to confront. They'll be something I overcame and gained something from.
Yeah, I love that statement by in the Buddhist philosophy where it talks about joyful participation with the sufferings of the world. You know, when you talk about joy and what true joy is, that's really a phenomenal statement when you think about it. I think it's important spiritually. I think it's important socially that we challenge things. Challenge. There's no absolutes, there's only challenge. You know, and it's important to recognize where you were to where you are now. And that's all part of evolving. You know, socially, just because you're famous at something, or because you have a lot of money or this and that, means absolutely nothing to you at who you are as an individual. It does mean something in society, because life becomes easier in one sense. Say if you're like the woman I was talking about earlier, who could go out and do all of these things, becomes easier in that sense. But because you're not there, you don't realize the difficulties that they have to deal with in another sense, because you're not in that world. It's just a world that you may desire to be in, you know, because you think that maybe you would handle it better. But that's really not it. You wouldn't handle it better. You know, it's just because you're not in that place and time. So there's no absolute. There's no perfect place. There's only challenge, and challenge for growth, and challenge to understand, and challenge for movement. Movement becomes very important. That's what the Bodhisattva represents. He gave up enlightenment because he realized that enlightenment is just, well, I'm enlightened now, it stops. You know, that's impossible. You know, there's many enlightenments and many understandings where you come into. So maybe a person may stop their addictive habits in this way, or their addictive habits in that way. And we're all prone to addictions. We all have our addictive habits. It's about balancing them, understanding them. You know, if a person's a pedophile, we'll say, which is a really taboo subject, and is going to do whatever they're going to do to a young child, well, obviously that's wrong. That's wrong, but yet the same desire for what's wrong is what drives them to do it in the first place. And that's not understanding their dragon. They don't want to accept that they have this, but at the same time they accept it. And then they make excuses that I'm diseased, I can't control myself. Well, you know, that's just not really true. You know? And it's true to a sense where you are, because where we are as an individual being. But really we just make excuses. In spirituality, there's no excuse. It is what it is. It's about accepting where you are and moving on from it. That's how you conquer your demon, or that's how your demon changes. That's how you grow. That's how you understand. You know, and not simply just succumbing to what you think is a disorder. That's not what I mean by acceptance. That's not what I'm talking about. Oh, I accept that I'm a pedophile. I accept that I'm an alcoholic, so therefore I can just drink all I want. I'm a rapist, I could go out and rape all I want, I could do all those things. That's not acceptance at all. You know, we all have potential of doing violent and terrible things to people. You know, some of us know better. Many of us know better. It's the ones that don't know better. It's the 99% of the people know better. It's the 1% that everybody needs needs protection from. And it's funny how that 1% can mislead the 99%. Can get people to follow, because we all have that violence, you know, that want to just go wild. And in any war, that really comes to the forefront. You know, we tend to make excuses. In spirituality, there is no excuse. It is what it is. You can't lie to that. You can't lie to your dragon. You can't lie to your warrior. You can't lie to your child. When people talk about God, God isn't about something that is there. God is a universal consciousness that we are a part of. It's about an understanding. It's about a growth. And we are clothed with our temple that gives us all of these things that we need to challenge, to grow from. Not get locked in and say, okay, we understand, or get locked in and say, my life is terrible, or get locked in to what society says, oh, you're a good person. Or, wow, because you're rich and famous, you're a good person. Or you know something. No, it has nothing to do with that. Everything's the same. It all depends on what you do with it. You know? You can't change. Corruption is on all levels of society. And we all know this. I'm not saying anything that nobody doesn't know. You know, we're all subject to different temptations, we'll say. What's a temptation? Temptation is not understanding. You know? So people always think of faith as believing in something that's not there. You know, that's out there, we'll say. Not this, that there's a God out there, we have to have faith in what we don't see. That's not what faith is about. Faith is about believing in what you have inside. It's trusting what you have inside yourself. You know? And making a stand. It's the ability to take action and to pay attention to what is being said, and just the filtering out of all the dogma and of all the nonsense and noise that is in your head, and just hearing it in its simplicity. Because it's in the simplicity that you can hear that voice. And the ability to take action with that voice. And you, in your heart, if you follow your heart, know that what you're doing is right. Taking action in a positive way. With inside yourself. Not taking action harmfully. Yeah, if we were sitting here and somebody walks in, or I'm sitting here by myself and somebody bashes in the door and goes into the room and is going to hurt Natasha, you know, I may not want to hurt these people, but if I have the ability to hurt them, I'm going to hurt them. I'm going to stop them. Even though I don't feel that I can't show this side of ruthlessness, but yeah, I could be that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You know, I could just completely change and take the action that needs to be taken when it is called for action, when it's time for action. When you talk about our society as a whole, you know, like you have all these laws that really don't allow me, like if all of a sudden, what if I was attacked by 6 people, and all of those people except one was ages from 14 to 16 years old. And I took action because they came after me and the person I was with, and I killed a 15-year-old. I hit him in the head too hard, and he died. Who's going to jail? Because of unnecessary, oh, you should be better trained. You are trained not to hurt or to go over the top of hurting somebody, but you just did. And therefore, the jury or whoever there, or the judge feels that, well, this guy we don't really want on the streets. He's dangerous, you know, and you killed a 15-year-old kid. No, I killed a 15-year-old kid, not meaning to kill him, but he tried to stab me. I could understand if the kid didn't have anything and I slapped him and took him and threw him over a building. All right, yeah, that's different. But if I go pow and I hit him and he dies, it's not that I meant to kill him. I just meant to stop him from taking action against me.